What's going on, guys? Alan here with another daily trading recap. Today is Friday, December 3rd, ending the first week in December. Up on the screen, I currently have the overall NASDAQ, and as you can see, we dipped here. Here, let me zoom in a little bit on this. We dipped here to this resistance close to 380, pretty much at 378 area, um, and it didn't exactly touch it, but it did bounce. Um, so just something to keep in mind. You know, we had 2 days ago, we had that major down day and crack uh, key support levels. Yesterday tried to reclaim and couldn't, and today cracked below, confirming the crack, and then we'll just see how it goes come Monday. You know, but it's not looking great. So got to make sure that we're protecting our accounts and not over trading. Um, That's pretty much it for the overall market. So we'll get into my trades for today. I actually didn't mentally trade today. I actually placed trades. Uh, I keep saying what I'm going to do and what's on my mind, but I have a feeling it's just going to change. Um, but that's how it is when you're learning. So this morning, first one that I took was TGHI. You know, yesterday was first green day on major volume. I was looking for a dip buy, panic dip buy at the open. But I was also curious to see if it was going to hold any of these highs if you're looking in the top left here. Zoom in on that. I was curious if it would hold any of the afternoon highs. And I ended up buying in, and I think I was risking low of day, which was down here at 3.5 area. Because I put that in. Let me zoom in a little bit more here, and I'll have to put the arrows on some of them, so bear with me. But I was risking, it opened up, cracked down pretty hard below red green, and I kind of wanted to see it bounce and reclaim VWAP, but as soon as it bounced and couldn't reclaim, I just took it off real quick because this is the morning. These are volatile plays, and it's an OTC, so I didn't want to get stuck in like a panic. And good thing I didn't because the next 1, 2, 3, almost 4 minutes were just almost straight down action. I don't want to say straight down, but pretty hard downtrend. So good profit taking for me there. I ended up taking 4.78% on that, so not too bad at all. Let me get rid of these. And we'll move on to my second trade for today. My second trade is CYAD. This one intrigued me this morning. As you can see, first green day gap up play. This is what I've been mentioning, and this is what my spreadsheet was on. I don't have too much information in the spreadsheet yet. I'm still kind of figuring out how I want it to look. But, clearly we had this gap up on massive volume, very choppy pre-market. But once, let me zoom into this. I wanted to see it break past this kind of resistance level around 5, pretty much like 495 to 5. Um, that's what I wanted to see. So if it could break past that and kind of put in a support level or a dip at that level, that would have been key for me. So actually, this is the second trade on this, so don't pay attention. We'll leave that on there because I'll get to it in a second. But I initially entered. I missed this dip, which is fine because I probably wouldn't have entered anyways. But missed the dip, and then let's see, 9:44. I entered. I entered in here at $5. So pretty good entry. Um, and I wanted to see it ramp past, as you could see here, this was a resistance level. So I was kind of waiting for it to spike up, dip, and then that's where I wanted to buy. But as soon as when it dipped at the open and tried to claim that, that's when I wanted to get in because I thought it could push higher, especially since it's a $5 stock. So I was I wanted it to sell I wanted to sell between 540, 550. That was my plan. Take a nice close to 10% on it. But I there's no other way of putting it. I got greedy on it. It went up very choppy. It's a Nasdaq play, so I'm trying to get more used to how they work, and I just didn't want to sell into this. You know, it just didn't seem like it was worth it to sell in here. But really, I should have just taken my gains. You know, especially when you have these little pops to like 530, then a quick pullback. I mean, I should have definitely been selling into here, but I didn't, and we had this crack, and I ended up adding at VWAP here. My original risk was this support level, and when I didn't sell into here, which I should have, and it cracked this hard, I I'm trying to think of how to put it. I basically just got scared and kind of stiffened up because it just cracked so quickly. But let's see, at 10:01, so right in here, I added at 493. Put a drawing in here. I added right in here, and when it didn't hold, I was kind of kicking myself because I really shouldn't be adding to losers. I should have taken the profit, but now that I didn't stick to my original plan, do I exit quickly or, what's the scenario now? So, not that I should ever be changing my plan when I'm in a trade. My plan should be concrete prior to the trade, and if the trade does not do what I want, I should just be out. But I decided to risk low of day because it was putting in this bottom here, and then it cracked some more, and I was really tempted to sell, but I said, you know what, let me just, I'm down this much, let me just risk low of day. If it cracks low of day, I'll get out, and this will be regardless, this is a major lesson for me. To sell when you have strength and it's not showing, and it's showing that it's not going to go, it's not pushing, it's not going anywhere. We had a good what, almost 947 to 10 minutes of consolidation up in here, and especially when I couldn't push here, I should have just taken it off. But I added in here, I ended up holding, and I ended up holding through all this chop. So when it put in that low, I drew a trend line, and I said, okay, as long as it holds this trend, then I'm going to stay in it. And I don't think it actually wicked up here. That was just a quick thing, and I don't think it wicked this low, and I don't think it wicked that high. But actually, I think it did wick this high, but I don't think it wicked this low or this high on this one. But anyway, where am I at here? CYAD. Yeah, I ended up selling half. Let's see. I held through this, didn't break the trend. Right here it tanked and held the trend line. So I was confident. I should have added, but since my positions were so bad, really what I should have done, look at, hindsight trading, is, it's pushing highs, it cracks, and it puts in a higher low. I could have been buying into here, originally, if I could do this over. Could have been buying into here and waiting to see if it could retest with uh, with this low being my risk, or even low of day being risk. But buying up in here probably would have been this low. But anyway, I ended up holding through this chop. It held the trend line, and let me see, at 10:59, I didn't sell into this pop, which I really should have. And when I saw this, I got excited because I was like, oh man, it's gonna push highs really quick. But it just didn't. And then I saw it topping here, and I said, I'm not gonna get caught in this again. So at 10:59, I sold at 512. So not a bad sell, just selling into the push. I gave it I gave it enough time, for sure. Again, everything here, this is my next trade on this. So, and then it dipped hard, and let me see, at 11:12, right in here, I ended up selling at 5:10. So both of my trades were small gains. I ended up with a 2.9% profit on this overall, but I could have just done so much better on it. So, you live and learn. That's a good lesson, and I'm grateful that I was able to profit from it while I was learning. And this this was my next trade. I traded at CYAD again because I thought that it was putting in these higher lows, it was holding trend, and then here it dipped but didn't even touch the trend. So I said, oh, this is starting to ramp up. We're getting really close to high of day levels here. And when I'm talking about these levels, I'm talking about under 520. I wanted to see it just push and hold 520. That would have been great. But so I ended up buying again, um, kind of resetting, buying again with the risk of this trend line. Because if it broke this trend, I wanted to just be out. Um, and it sure enough, it spiked up, touched those levels, and I should have learned from here. Uh, it just wouldn't break 530, and I should have just taken it off in here. But I just get so nervous that I'm gonna miss such a move. But again, we saw the overall markets; they were tanking today. I mean, if the markets were up and this was maybe prime time to trade, maybe this could have done better. But long story short, then I made another mistake and added right here because I thought it was putting in another higher low. Um, and I said, you know what? It seems to be holding this. It's far from the trend line. Let me add right here, which I shouldn't have done. I told myself even before I got in here that if I add, I'm only going to add onto a significant dip, which actually would have worked in my favor if I just was 1 minute more patient. But good lesson regardless. And as soon as it cracked here, I looked up at my screen and it cracked uh, from 515 here to 485, and I said, "Oh man, like this thing's just spanking me right now." So I waited for a little bit of a bounce because I didn't think it was going to push too much further to the downside because you have all these levels back in here. I waited, but I didn't wait long enough. I just get nervous when I'm down, especially after a quick move like that, and I just sold it. So I ended up taking a 2.73% loss on that. All in all, that ended up being a good little lesson. Not to add at the same areas unless I don't know. I mean, it's all gray area, but it's still a good lesson regardless. And we'll move on to my next trade. My next trade was IGEN, and of course, hindsight. This is not the trade. This was the next trade, or this was a trade later on. But hindsight, it's easy to see what you should have done. But this is an example of me not sticking to my plan. I've mentioned that before, where I buy, I have a plan, I have a risk, and I don't stick to it, and that's a problem. And I did it with this one. And I think I did it with this one because if this was a little bit, excuse me, if this had a little bit more volume and wasn't as illiquid, as you could see in here and all in here, um, I probably would have been fine. But since it's such a low price stock and so illiquid, I was kind of nervous holding. But I ended up buying, let me see, at 119, right in here at 789, or excuse me, at 79. And I was anticipating this breakout. We have a first green day, major volume, after fade, and we're holding above, or excuse me, we weren't above the breakout, but as you can see, my bottom arrow here was right at the breakout level above these areas. So I wanted to see a breakout and push in between these areas, and I was going to sell into a spike, you know. But I should have realized that with it being so illiquid, um, of course you're not going to get just like a quick ramp. It's going to take some time for it to break through. And the biggest thing was my risk on this trade was 007. So I had a small position because I'm so far from the risk, and I was planning to add into a dip or depending, because that was kind of like the high over here, and then you could see this was the first crack, and then um, another dip back here, the first dip here, and another dip here. But my risk was all the way down here. But when it cracked here, it pushed. I was really excited. I thought I got in at the perfect time, and it just could not. The ask was so heavy at 8.4, and then it just retreated underneath 8 again. Um, so I knew that on the first try it probably wouldn't push it, and I was okay with that. But what I was not okay with was, let me see here, this here 141 I ended up selling. Yeah, right in here. I mean, that's what happens when you don't stick to your plan, you know. I ended up selling it right here, but since I was in with such small size and I was only halfway to my risk, I ended up losing $4. So also with these small uh, increment stocks, I get nervous about losing a massive percent because, if it moves, what's that, hundredth? That's tenths. That's a hundredth. If it moved 5 hundredths of a, 10 hundredths of a, that would be 1/10, right? So if it moved a tenth of a penny, you know, that's a significant percentage loss. But, um, I just didn't like this action. And I really should have acknowledged that it didn't touch these levels and just put in basically kind of like a higher low. But I sold. I got scared out and lost that $4. And if I just listened to my, if I just paid attention to my plan and didn't stray away from that, I could have really just bought on this dip. I could have bought into this dip, and really I drew this trend line and I got nervous when it cracked the trend line. That's what really made me start sweating because I wanted to see this thing just picture perfect go, but that's just not how these things work. You're gonna have some. Let me see, where did this break out before? You know, in September here. So I mean, what? That's 3 months. 3 months ago. Um, you're gonna need some consolidation up at the breakout level. You can't expect it to test it once, sit right around it and then just break out and do what you want. These things take time sometimes. So um, I should have stuck to my plan, sold it here, small loss, not a big deal. But while we're on this one, I'll discuss the next trade on it because there was one trade in between. But um, once this started ramping here, once I saw this later on in the afternoon, and of course, I was laughing because I said, "Oh, this thing's going to break out," and I would have been great with that 7.9 average. Um, but I said, "You know what? I'm not going to buy into any of this because I saw it right when it was pushing in here." I said, "I'm going to wait for this to break 8.4 because I knew how many from here. I knew how many people, how many, or how big the ask was, how heavy it was back in here. So I wanted to see it break that. I wasn't going to buy until I saw that break, and it broke 8.4. I got in at 8.5. I was nervous that I might have been chasing something because, as soon as I got in at 8.5, 8.5's ask got heavy, and I got nervous again. But I said, nope, it just broke out. It's a Friday, it's 2:30, give it some time, and I ended up giving it a couple minutes and took let me see, I took a 4.12% gain on it. So percentage-wise, it was a smaller gain, or it was smaller than the loss, but my quantity of shares was higher because my risk was I think my risk was 8. If it cracked below 8, I was just going to exit. So I was able to get a little bit more size in here. Now, what I should have realized was, I thought this was the top, but these things can run way further than you'd expect. And I was wanting to sell this originally, um, if it got near and touched the 9.5 area at this level, but I didn't even give it that chance. It hit 9.1 and or it hit 9, I think, here at this point, and I just got scared because 9 got heavy, 8.9 was weak on the bid, and I just said, screw it, I'm going to take my little gain on this because I already lost on it earlier. So I want it to give me something. But, if I was a little bit more patient, um, I probably would have held through this little dip, and then I probably would have sold into this action here. I probably wouldn't have sold into here. I probably would have sold when it broke, but or maybe even into here, um, because this is some sideways price action. But good lesson. I took a nice little profit on it. Um, Not a bad trade. I just need to be more patient when they're going my way. So that's good to know. And we'll go into my last trade. That was technically my last trade, but this one was right before it. CFVI, NASDAQ play. This one we had yesterday. Obviously we don't have much going on. I think I showed this yesterday. Just a choppy shit stock. And first screen day, major volume, ran up huge. But all day yesterday it didn't really do anything. You had this massive panic at the open and then fade. So this was on my watch list because I wanted to see if it could find a bottom. And if it had volume, I wanted to kind of ride it up. I missed this right here where it almost tested the red to green and sat above VWAP. That would have been an excellent entry with the red to green in mind and then potentially selling at this resistance level. As you can see, it just went parabolic right here. So if I were to enter here, I definitely would have sold. I don't even know if I would have held through this, to be honest. I probably would have sold into here. But, and hindsight's easy. But I missed that, and then I saw it dip back and hold here at this level. Let me see if there's anything at that level there, because I think there might have been. Not really. I mean, yeah, yesterday at 11, but it was sitting at like 1050. Um, so when I saw it in here and it put in this higher low, um, I almost got in, and I kind of got scared because I said, oh well, maybe that was the move. It was pretty parabolic. The markets are down today, so don't be too aggressive. And of course, the thing ramped up and broke past that high. So I was kind of upset about that, but I ended up acknowledging that this thing can run further than I would expect. And let's see, at 11:42, not 11:42, 2:26, right in here, I got an 11:42. My risk was this resistance level at 11:30, and let me make sure that was my risk. Yeah, that was my risk at 11:30, and it spiked up, and it didn't look like it could hold. I didn't expect it to spike that quickly. Didn't look like it could hold, so I said, I'm taking it off. I'm fine with that little gain because my position size was larger because I was close to the risk, and I sold right here, pretty close to the top of this little wick here, and that ended up being a nice little 2.25% gain. Um, so overall, I traded 6 times today, 4 wins, 2 losses. That makes it a 200% win rate. And with my trades, I ended up being up $40 today. So not too bad considering that the markets are down. Let me bring this up on the screen. Whoops. I hope that doesn't. Okay. Yeah, as you can see here, purple are the mental trades that I've been doing, so I just have them up here so I can keep track. But as you can see, 6 trades, 4 wins, 2 losses, 200%, and made $40. And then yesterday I made almost $10, so I'm up $50 this week. Um, and I'm not counting the beginning of the week with November. That was a previous month, so just starting this month clean. So far I'm up $50 on the month, $50 on the week. Definitely not bad. And I'm pretty sure. Let me pull up my other one. I'm pretty sure I don't think I've had a green week. Um, I think I might have had a. Let me see. Whoops. I think I might have had. I had this one green week, and that was it for $2. So not bad. I'm not going to complain about having a green week, and hopefully, I'll have to continue to protect myself, but I'm happy with seeing it up $50. It was only $30 in my account because of commissions, but that's okay. And this is what I want to see. Gains, multiple gains over 5% or over 2%, two small losses, and I didn't take anything over 5. The only one I took over 5 for a loss was that small position size on the OTC that I took today. So that was only a $4 loss, and you'll see that right here actually. But and this was the gain. That was not the OTC gain, but yeah, that's basically it for today. I'll be filming my weekly trading recap here in a little bit and going over, well, I don't really have much to go over in that, but I'll film one regardless. And then I'll be doing probably this weekend, I'll be doing an end of the month recap for last month and going over some of my best and worst plays. Um, but that's pretty much it. Hope you guys had a good day. Remember to keep in mind the overall markets. Um, and actually, I don't know if I'll be able to show it on here. I can kind of screw around with it. Here, let me see. So I have an ultra wide monitor. I have five screens technically. So um, let me see here. I'm gonna try and show you how I have it on my screen because I could just do it, but all right. So I'll only fill up half because you'll see in a second. But this is what I have to show you guys, and then I have a two-stock layout. So half my screen is what I'm watching, and the other half I just today I decided that I'm going to leave the overall markets on there. So that way I can just continuously monitor what's going on. Um, if we're in a dip, if we're in a spike, and depending on my trades, I'd be able to know, if it could push or not. If we're on a dip, it's less likely that the stock is whatever stock I'm looking at is going to spike. If we're in a push, more likely. But again, just keeping this overall trend in mind. If we're looking at this, I mean we're cracking. So just be safe. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day and have a good weekend. Thanks.